Hey everyone, this is Dale Berkebile, the business misfit, again coming in from Brandwise. So today we're going to get real. We're going to talk a little bit about my background, where I come from. Some of you know my story, some of you don't. I'm going to share some things that happened that kind of planted a seed for the rest of my life that I thought about for a long time. I'm going to share an interesting story, near-death experience, and I'm just going to tell you why I do what I do or where I'm headed. Okay, so first off, let me share with you. I was born in the 70s, and to a middle-class home, blue-collar worker. My dad worked hard, showed us a great work ethic, and my mom raised us and did a great job. So here's a picture of me and my sister, and you can see we're pretty young there. You see that hat that I have on? I'll tell you a quick story. One day I ripped off that hat and started chasing a chipmunk and caught a chipmunk in that hat and took it in to show my mother. As you can imagine, she was less than amused that I had a chipmunk in my hat and that I brought it into the house. Don't you know they cause rabies? Get it out of here! And I was so disappointed I had to get rid of my first pet. But growing up, I had a really happy and wonderful life, I believe. And I was always creative and pushing the envelope and drawing and imaginative and whatnot. And I'm glad that here's a picture of me in I have no idea. This was 77. I was probably around 6 at the time, I guess. And this is Christmas, and this is me sitting on my first skateboard and me with art supplies. So every Christmas, my parents supported me with art supplies, which for someone that's creative and later to find out a visionary, this was a great thing. I loved art supplies and getting art. And we grew up in a bigger city in Pennsylvania. And then I was probably about 12 when our parents moved us to Lock Haven area, which for those of you that know, it's pretty small. For those of you that don't, it's because it's pretty small. But we built our own house, and here's a picture of me and my sister looking at the new stovetop. Woohoo! Roughly around 85. And so, we were excited to have a new home and see all the new stuff that's going on, the new construction, and playing around on the house and the build and whatnot. But you can see here's me working a tractor, a backhoe. We're digging the drainage ditch. And so my dad was really handy. And so we got out and we actually did stuff and we helped him. And so that was a great thing. And then here's me around the age of, I don't know, I would have been about 17, 18, I think, at this point. This was a prom that I went to, 16, 17, somewhere in that range. And the reason I show you that is, at that point in my life, I was starting to figure out who I was and, driving and had my own job. As a matter of fact, the girl that's in that picture is someone that I worked with. Tracy Showers, I thought was a great girl and really liked her. But at that time, I worked for Burger King, and I loved to ski, and I liked making some money. At that time, it was like $3.25 an hour, which is kind of funny looking back. But that was a little more than minimum wage. I forget what minimum wage was at that time. But anyhow, a funny thing happened is I was working, and I used to like to go skiing, and so I would go skiing a lot. And one trip, I skied all day, and then I had to close that evening at the event at my work at Burger King. So I was closing, and that means we get out at around 1:30. And my parents lived 15 miles from Lock Haven, the little town. So we went up this Renova Road, which is very small and, kind of backwoods, but I love nature and love being out and away from the hustle and bustle of the big city sometimes. And so this is a picture of the Renova Road. And so as you can see there, it's actually cut out of the mountain, and on one side is a cliff where it was cut out, and then the other side is a drop off of the cliff. So we went skiing all day. Then I'm driving home after a full day of work closing, and this is my trip up the road to my parents' house. And like I said, it was probably about 1:45, or maybe 2 o'clock, or maybe a little bit after 2. But, it's just an average day, and I'm driving home. And the interesting thing is, in between Lock Haven and my parents' house, there was a bar, and coming home at that time, it was funny because sometimes you would see people that would be driving. I don't recall ever seeing any drunk drivers, to be honest with you. But what happened was this evening, as I was going up this road, which is very hard to see, there's a curve that's up there at the edge of that picture. And as I started coming around that curve, I saw a tractor trailer that was coming. And I didn't think anything of it. We're just driving. And the funny thing is, because it's going around a curve and I'm coming up like this going around a curve, it was coming straight for me. And I was like, whoa, what is going on? And he's coming across the line because he's not turning. And so I grab the wheel and I'm driving, and it's just kind of crazy, and this guy's coming right at me. And then it's like, bam! And it was like Star Wars going into warp speed. So it was like all the glass and the light of what happened seemed like it was going past me, and time went in slow motion. It's like, and at the end of the day, here's the vehicle. Luckily, I was able to keep the vehicle on the road. But that's the driver's side, you can see there. And that tractor trailer drove right into me, smashed right into me. And this photo is flipped because of the way this is being recorded. But that's the driver's side where the tractor trailer hit. Luckily, I was able to keep control of the vehicle and go straight, stay on the road. Because off to the right-hand side of me was a cliff. And you can see in this picture a little bit how that turn goes around the bend, how the road goes around the bend. Well, what I didn't know at the time was the tractor trailer hit me, and I thought he kept going. But what happened was he actually went down over the embankment, and at the bottom of that embankment is a river. And this was in winter. I said I was skiing, remember? So that's kind of crazy. And I don't know that you can see it there, maybe a little bit. There's the tractor trailer that got hung up in the trees. So the funny thing is, I had no idea that the tractor trailer was down over the embankment. And the lights went completely out. I had my radio blaring some good music. I was jamming out. Everything went silent. And it was completely dark because there were no street lights. This was out in the middle of nowhere. And the funny thing is, so I'm trying to figure out how to get my wits, how to figure things out, and try and open the door. And the door is crammed shut because it's been smashed in. And so I'm trying to figure out how to get out of the car. Well, luckily, there was no window on my left-hand side. So what I did was I started, I tried to figure out how to get out of my seatbelt and crawl out of the vehicle. And as soon as I put my foot down, I went and sort of fell because my foot was broke. I've never had a broken bone in my life, and I knew instantly that it was broke. And so I'm standing there. my car is in the middle of the road in my lane, and I'm standing there and I'm thinking, what the hell? Where do I go? Which way do I go? Which is the closest way to a home along this path? Because it could be 5 miles to the nearest home. And I couldn't remember which way to go. Luckily, a few minutes after this happened, a car came down the other way from the direction that I was going. It came the same way as the tractor trailer. And my car's sitting there, and I'm out there waving, hey, stop. But the car slowed down, looked, slowed down, and then they took off. And anyone that knows me can imagine what came out of my mouth then. I was cussing up a storm, son of a bitch, why you, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, so you slow down, you see that someone's seriously in trouble, and you take off. Well, the funny thing that happened there is that person actually turned around and came back to pick me up. Now, I didn't know it was the person that drove by. I thought it was someone else. And so they're like, hey man, hop in the car, let's take you down to the hospital, let's get you fixed up. I'm like, okay, thanks. And the funny thing is I was probably bitching about the people that drove by. Man, these people came and they just left me. And probably laid a big guilt trip on them because I didn't know I didn't know the people that came back to pick me up were the actual people that left me to die. Anyhow, I get down to the hospital and, they call the police and they call my parents, and these people dropped us off but then left. What I came to find out later, they were actually drinking at the bar that the tractor trailer was at. And so, of course, they didn't want to be tied up with drinking and driving and things like that. And so there's no problem there, and I can respect them for that. I mean, you should never drink and drive, but I've done my share, and I don't recommend it, and I don't do it anymore. Anyhow, so I'm in the hospital. I have a broken leg, and I got some stitches and had some scarring on my, some cuts on my head and stuff like that. So they're fixing me up. They're working on me. So they call my parents. My parents drive down past this vehicle. They see this vehicle sitting in the middle of the road, and they're like, holy shit. I'm not too sure that he made it out. It's kind of what's going through their mind probably, because it wasn't something that anyone came and picked up the car at that point. It was the middle of the night, and the cops weren't there and whatnot. So they had to drive past it. So I can't imagine as a parent what that must have been like. But anyhow, they come down. Everything's okay. The doctors are getting me fixed up. But I think I had to spend a couple days in the hospital. And this is where the thing gets a little bit weird. So there were some people from our church, and I can't remember for the life of me who it was, that came to visit me. Several people, I believe, but there were a couple women that came at one point in the trip, to visit and make sure I was okay. Hey, Lori, how you doing? And one of those people said, wow, God must have something in store for you. Because that could have been very easily, you could have died and, whatever. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, what kind of horseshit is this? Like, okay, so I believe in God, but I don't believe that I'm anyone special. I don't believe that I have any mission or that I'm here to save the world. I'm just like, I'm like 17, invincible. I don't give a shit about anyone but myself, and have no agenda to do anything in this world than, have fun, go skiing, play my punk rock music, and go skateboarding and hang out with friends. And, I was too young to really grasp a bigger picture. And so I just thought that was kind of silly. But you know what? For whatever reason, that seed, they planted that seed, and it's kind of haunted me my whole life. Like, what is the purpose, and why am I still here? And Why did I survive that? And, I don't know that I really thought about it that much, but I do come back to it quite a bit. Like, I don't know, maybe they were onto something. Maybe there is a purpose for all of us, not just myself, but what is that purpose and how can we find it? And I think to some degree, my purpose is to inspire others to be the best that they can be, the best person that they can be. Whether that's their person, for their personal journey or for their business or for their sales journey or whatever. I mean, that's where I ended up, was in business and sales and design and marketing and all that stuff. And I try and inspire businesses to be the best that they can be. But I also try and figure out ways for others, to inspire others to be the best they can be. How can I build people up? So when in business you study all this self-improvement, business books, things like that, to try and understand what your calling is, what you're trying to do, how you're trying to accomplish things, how you can be the best business, how you can grow the best business, how you can create the best business, how you can build the best culture, all this stuff. And at the end of the day, that's where, I ran across the why. Why do you do what you do? Start with why. So that's a whole different approach, but that's a book by Simon Sinek that is amazing, and he's a really great guy. But I go back to, I think about that a lot, and I wonder if that doesn't tie in with, what this woman may have been saying, like, you're here for a reason, and it's bigger than you, and how can you be bigger than you? And, so I'm doing some things that are a little maybe out of character for me. A lot of times I have been just focused on me and my business and things like that. But if you're interested, I started a group called Be the Change. So I think that's one of those things that it took me a life to get here. The journey was leading me up to this, maybe, that it's something that, hey, we can teach people how to be kind, how to show respect to others, how to be more loving. And I don't know why I should be doing it, because I'm no one special. I'm just a joker that, I don't know. I'm just, I'm the business misfit, right? I'm just this guy, nothing special, just doing what I do. But I saw a need in the marketplace through the election of the kind of hate and ugliness that was going on, that, hey, we need to make a change. Just be a decent person, for Christ's sakes. Why do you have to be an asshole and treat people like shit? Do you want to be treated like that? Of course you don't. So I don't know if this is my why, but I'm here and I'm doing it, and hopefully it's inspiring one person to at least think a little bit differently, to decide that, hey, you know what, maybe like with this videos, maybe you see me doing these videos and you're like, hey, you know what, maybe I can do a video. Hey, Craig, thank you for joining us. And anyone that joins us, feel free to join in the conversation, ask a question. We'll have some engagement back and forth, and it's not a concern. You're not interrupting. Part of the reason I'm doing this is to connect with people. But, at the end of the day, someone sees this video and says, hey, I don't want to be a jackass anymore. I want to be, what would happen if I was kind to my fellow person? And could I change their life being a little bit better? And could I be a little happier if I wasn't a curmudgeon every day, all day? So anyhow, I don't know really what the why is. I just know that I want to help people be the best that they can be. And I do that a lot through business. But the Be the Change group that's on Facebook that I created is to try and take that to a personal level and have people inspire others to take the ball and run with it, because maybe their why is to do something much bigger than I could ever do. And so if we can at least get them started and get them running down the path, then maybe we've accomplished something here. The other thing that I will tell you about is I also, in the process of the Be the Change group that I created, I ran into the Tao Te Ching, the Tao Te Ching. I don't know how you say it exactly because I'm still learning and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But if you're familiar with this book, and again, it's backwards, I know, but change your thoughts and change your life. Change your thoughts will change your life. One thing that I do know is that through my own journey, hey Brian, how you doing, man? Through my own journey, one of the things that I learned is that a lot of the things that are holding me back are my thoughts and my beliefs. And as soon as I changed those, or started working on changing those, I changed as a human being. My world around me started to change. And yes, it takes a lot of work and a lot of self-development and, just practice to try and be a better person. Hey, Brian, thanks for joining us. I appreciate you being here. Through changing my thoughts, I have seriously been able to change my world. And it's not something that people are comfortable with doing, but one of my goals is to call people on their bullshit. When they believe that this is the way things have to be, it's the only way it can be, it's the way it's always been, I want to call bullshit on that and say, hey, have you ever thought about doing it this way? Have you? I mean, what would happen if you did it this way? Could you do it this way? So if you can start to think a little bit differently, your world may open up. It may change your whole outlook and honestly start to change all the people around you because you are completely different. So that's one of the things. That's my why. I want to help people expose the things that they think are real, that are totally in here, 100% in a thought. If they change those beliefs, we can change their world. So anyhow, if you would like to learn more, join the group, Be the Change. We're working on trying to get involved, get active, do things to make change. I also have a book study group where we're going to be talking about change your thoughts, change your life. And that's something I'm trying in person with some of the local people in Fort Worth. But we're also trying to do a webinar-based version of that, which is actually we're going to do another one hey, Remy, glad you could join us. Yes, change your thoughts. Change your thoughts and change your life, truly. The other thing, so we have a webinar-based version that we're trying to do so that we can expose it to not just our local community, but the global community at large, and kind of just open up a dialogue to talk about what are our beliefs, what are our thoughts, and really try to understand the Tao Te Ching and apply that to our lives. And everyone's journey is going to be completely different, so I don't know how all this is going to play out. But, it's just something that's focused on making us better people. And so if you want to be a better person and you want to change your thoughts and you want to be open-minded, then, I'm here to help be a change agent, to introduce you to new ideas, and to call you on your bullshit at the end of the day. So if you want, you can go to the Be the Change group on Facebook, and if you want to join the webinar, you can find the information on the group. And it's also, I believe the URL for the webinar is bit.ly, bit.ly / capital B, E, capital T, H, E, capital C, H-A-N-G. So bit.ly / capital B for B, capital T for the, and capital C for change. So bit.ly / be the change. No spaces, just capitals for each letter of the beginning. So anyhow, that's my deal. that's a little bit of my story. It's how I got here. It's how I always, it's that thing in the back of my mind that always makes me wonder, like, what is my purpose here? Why am I doing what I do? Is it because of a higher being? Was I saved from some of my own mistakes? Now, I've had other near-death experiences where it was self-induced instead of just being at the right place at the wrong time. But anyhow, thank you, everyone that joined me today. Thanks for your thoughts, Remy, Brian joining the conversation, Craig and Lori for being here. Peace, love, and respect to all, and get out there and be the best person you can be. Again, this is Dale Berkebile from Brandwise, the Business Misfit. Thanks, and have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.